As we move into storm season, here's something most homeowners don't realize after a storm. Roof damage isn't always obvious. Wind can lift shingles, breaking the seal. Hail can bruise them below, and flashing around chimneys and pipes can loosen without you ever knowing. That damage may not show up for months. If your area has strong wind or hail, a professional inspection will help bring you clarity before small damage turns into bigger problems.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I apologize right there. Behind me was not supposed to say sports, but we do have quite a bit of sports heading into this week with baseball, with state championships down there in Jackson. And we're tracking all of those forecasts here in the Room to Room Weather Center, but we start with right now. And right now, it's warm, it's toasty, and it is a little bit muggy outside as well. That is keeping the limited rain chances in play over the next couple of days. But as we get further into the forecast, that's where we're using the Mississippi Live exclusive Storm Finder, tracking those storms, really increasing by the weekend. But where we could see a few strong storms is into next week, and all of those latest details coming up at the 6 o'clock hour. But what's also happening at 6 o'clock, Matt is making his rounds in Union County, and that continues in New Albany tonight. And that is where he joins us live in the Union County area, where it is a fun time in Union County right now as teams are gearing up for a busy time down in Jackson, right, Matt?
Well, you mentioned, Ingomar, starting their game and their quest for another championship. We were in Ingomar last hour. I'm in New Albany at this point here. Just a beautiful evening. I've been getting, for lack of a better way to put it, glamour shots of different locations here across North Mississippi with the Mississippi Live Drone. And we have it up right now over top of us here on our mobile room-to-room weather center. What you can see looking back toward the west, again, the leftovers there after the sunset is just kind of the glow showing up at this time. Temperatures here in the New Albany area coming in still pretty mild there in the 70s. But as we kind of pan things around, you'll notice we're keeping it mostly clear. I'm going to go back and kind of swing this a little more quickly as we look back over the north part there downtown, back toward that moon bowl and toward the horizon. Appreciate that, sir. As we're again, a beautiful shot here as we'll point back toward the Union County Courthouse. Just has been an absolutely beautiful day. We expect it will stay a pretty nice evening on the way as well. Back here in Union County, I'm in Cooper Park, downtown New Albany area, and that temperature at this time coming in the low 70s. Considering our normal for this time of year should be the low 60s, still way above normal considering it's 6 o'clock hour and that sun has set only about 15 minutes ago or so at this point here. That measure of moisture, that dew point, still shows relatively dry air. One of the factors that is going to come into play over the course of the next few days is, unfortunately, we're probably going to get more and more reports of fires and things like that as burn bans have been expanded across much of the region, or not much of the region, but a couple locations across the region. We're 68 though at 7 p.m., 61 degrees by 10, and 58 look toward 1 o'clock in the morning with mid-50s for early tomorrow, well above our 30-year average for this point in March. So outside, our cameras across North Mississippi and Northwest Alabama. Oxford showing up again with the residual. Looks pretty close to what that drone shot looked like a minute ago there. Appreciate Phoenix Building Solutions for partners here on Mississippi Live Weather. That temperature coming in 72, the feels like temperature has a little boost to it, believe it or not. At that site there, more of the exception to the rules. We're relatively dry. Showing up in Maben there with just that glow. You look at the left part of the screen, there is just a little bit of a smoke plume there. One of the many spots where we've had some controlled burns today. That one looks like it is definitely under control, but just something to kind of keep in mind. And our camera tour here across North Mississippi winds up there in Kosciuszko and look toward the horizon. Over on the right, another one of those smoke plumes out there that we are watching. Kosciuszko is in Attala County. Attala County at this point here, not under a burn ban, but Louisville and Winston County, at least according to the officials down there, when we were looking on Facebook earlier today, is under a burn ban. We expect more of those probably going to be issued. We just need more rainfall. This is the time of year we typically see rainfall. So yes, have we had some rain? But you can see that it has not been enough. And certainly those are more prevalent, more widespread for locations back toward the south and west. So again here, Mama Justice Doppler radar, we are dry and clear. Any rainfall back to the north and east, a non-factor for us. Wider shot shows the storm system is going to bring multiple days of storm chances with it. It's going to be, I think, a severe weather threat for locations back out on the plains. For us, I'm hopeful we're far enough east that is a non-factor as we're on the warmer end of the spectrum. And so, as you can see here on our future cast over the course of tonight, those clouds starting to increase. You can see kind of an impact from some of those down there closer to the coast, down there toward Hattiesburg. That moisture moving northward, a sign again of a little bit more stickiness that will come. I'm not going to really bring any meaningful rain chances for any spots overnight. You can see 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're still dry. But I could start to make some arguments for maybe a very limited chance for a couple of showers by tomorrow afternoon. Now, listen, the 10% there is mainly dry. Most of us are not going to see anything of significance. High temperatures, we're into the upper 70s. Winds out of the south, a little bit gusty, and that's bringing in more moisture. Moisture is a critical factor on obviously any kind of precipitation, especially when we start talking about chances for more active and possibly severe weather. I think that we're probably not going to see much of that over the next few days. Coming up in 60 seconds, though, we're going to look at those severe risk areas later this week across the United States. Gabe will be looking at those day by day coming up here a little bit later on in this broadcast. But we're also going to be looking at Storm Finder on where those storms are the most likely, and honestly, why we are probably not dealing with significant storm chances this week, at least in the severe weather category. Breaking down timing, though, as we look ahead, as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center. I'm in New Albany. Love to see folks out here. But of course, Gabe is back in our Tupelo studios. He'll have the very latest right after this.
As a nurse, I've seen a lot of people with sleep deprivation. It affects their job, their home life. At Room to Room, we want to take the guesswork out of buying a mattress, and that's why we brought in this technology. It shows you what you need. We want to do the assessment and find exactly what's perfect for you.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you.
Can I ask a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have a dog, but she's little.
Do you have any unlocked guns around the house?
We do have a gun, but it's stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access. Appreciate you asking.
Yeah, of course.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Keeping our camera tour across North Mississippi going, we're taking a look in Monroe County and Amory showing out with another beautiful sunset, 72 degrees, and that dew point being as low as it is shows dry air still remaining the story in North Mississippi. Now, taking a look there in the Room to Room Weather Center over towards the Cleveland area, you get a little bit of a better shot at the horizon as it is a little bit more towards the west, so sunshine can be able to be seen a little bit more. 70 degrees. Now, I will say, who's ready for a 7 o'clock sunset, right? Because time change is happening this weekend to add to what is already a busy week ahead. So don't forget to change those clocks back getting into this Sunday. But that's just all in all to tell you that the 6 o'clock sunset's not going to be sticking around too much longer as those days continue to get more and more daylight and our time starts to change. Clay County, West Point, 67 degrees right now and 49 degree dew points, and a busy evening there in West Point. Always busy down there in Titletown. So hopefully folks down there are enjoying their time and enjoying a beautiful evening there in the Clay County area. Now, what I wanted to look at was a little bit of something that Matt talked about a moment ago. We are under a burn ban for some counties in North Mississippi and really down in Southwest Mississippi, but we do expect more to be added. Reason why? Look at the rainfall deficit, and this is just over the last 30 days. You can see a lot of areas in that 1 to 2 inch difference, and again, a deficit, meaning that we need 1 to 2 inches more of that rainfall in order to get some of these better conditions. But down south, where Louisville, even Kosciuszko, Macon, Chula, Hollandale, you can definitely see that there are areas in 2+ inches showing that they desperately need rainfall. Now, the further south you go, You can see how in those 2+ inches, basically covering areas along and south of Highway 82. So those are the focal points getting into the next couple of days. Some of those burn bans being added. But as we look at those rainfall totals, again, not too much when we're talking about the last 3 days. And so that's why some of the officials have issued those burn bans, is because of the little amount of moisture we've had over the past few days, but really the lack of moisture over the past 30 days like we saw just a moment ago. Again, expanding things out, you can see that we've not had a drop in Jackson and Macomb and Hattiesburg, Meridian, even towards Columbus and Grenada. A lot of the moisture just remaining up there towards the north, not just over the past 3 days, but even over the past 24 hours. If you're like me and you were out doing some chores this afternoon and you heard a few drops start to fall, caught you off guard a little bit, just because it was supposed to be dry. Well, these isolated showers did try to move across North Mississippi. We showed you a few of those totals earlier on, but you can see about 1/10 of an inch there just south of Hernando and just under 1/2 of an inch closer to eastern Arkansas. But that moisture not translating over here to the Magnolia State, and we continue those dry conditions. So looking at our Mama Justice Doppler radar right now, a few showers out there towards Florence in Colbert County and moving closer to the Huntsville area. And if I put this on a loop here real quick, you can see that over the past few hours, these have just gradually worked their way across the northeast part of the state and into North Alabama. Now, watch right here. You see all these plumes that are happening? Just several of them happening across the Golden Triangle area and really further south. Those are those controlled burns actually able to be detected on radar as some of those plumes get a little bit higher. On these dry days, the beam is so low that we're actually able to get a visual on that. So that's what these individual streaks are. So if you look on radar and it looks like rain's in your area, but it's actually a pretty hazy forecast, well, then that's what's happening. You're actually in one of those smoke plumes, or at least an area that's a little bit smoky, and that's what's happening on radar. It's not rain, it's smoke. So that shows you that it's a lot of burning happening nowadays, folks trying to clear out some land and clear off some of that debris. But that's the thing about burn bans, is whenever you're trying to clear that debris, those burn bans are to help you stay safe, because that means that those ingredients are not exactly set for success for those burning conditions. So Winston County and Louisville under a burn ban until early April, according to the Louisville Fire Department. But back towards the southwest part of Mississippi, that's where a large portion of our counties are under burn bans. But I would be not shocked at all if there's some shock waves coming off of these burn bans being issued and see those expand into the rest of the Magnolia State. So get your burning done now if those conditions are better in your area. Again, not breezy and not overly dry. You kind of have a secluded area, you can do it. Knock that out now, because here in a couple of weeks, if these dry conditions continue to get worse, then unfortunately we might see more of those burn bans be issued. Day planner this evening stays dry. While that's a good thing, I know we were just talking about the negatives, it's a good thing for getting any of those evening plans done. We're 65 degrees as well, and I loved seeing our chief meteorologist Matt Laupon in a short sleeve shirt at 6 o'clock at night. That shows the season shifting and shows that some of that spring-like air is in the forecast. It is technically meteorological spring, but technically the exact start of spring is still a couple weeks away. So enjoy this little bit of a warmer forecast that's pretty unseasonable for this time of year. Monday evening stays with those southerly winds, again out of the south, but it's not overly breezy. What this is actually doing is building back some of that moisture for our Tuesday, and that means some more cloud cover in the forecast as a result. So as we get more towards our Tuesday morning, you can see right here, this cloud cover that starts to develop. Some of that will be partly cloudy. There is some other moisture that's going to be in the form of some patchy fog. So if you wake up tomorrow morning and it's got a bit of a haze there on the ground, that's that patchy fog as a result of this moisture that's trying to move into North Mississippi. And we can see that with the low temperatures as well. If this was a clear and dry forecast, these temperatures would have more room to drop. But the reason why they're pretty centered around the mid-50s is because dew points don't go beyond that point. It is a dry forecast, speaking about the rainfall and things like that, but it is still a muggy environment with some of that air having some of that moisture attached to it, just not in the form of rainfall. And so that's where we get our dew points pretty limited in cooling off, and that drier air not exactly as prominent with those dew points, but that will limit how much we cool off. And that's why mid-50s are in the forecast, and wind chill, need to take that graphic out because it seems like the direction we're headed, there's not going to be much of a wind chill going forward. Pick up 57 degrees at the bus stop, 78 degrees towards drop off. So if you're looking to head off for your school day and looking to enjoy a beautiful day, well, it should be exactly that. It should be warm. You might be able to get away with short sleeves in the morning commute and keep that going into the afternoon as well. Our Tuesday morning stays on the drier side, once again with that partly cloudy sky. But if we look out towards the west, we can see that this system, this dominant system, is over there towards Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Now, what this is doing is keeping all of those showers more towards our north, but giving us that warm air underneath it. So we are in what we call the warm sector. And so that's basically the southerly wind building into the entire mid-south and southeast, allowing for those above average temperatures to continue. But this system has very little movement. I mean, look at your Tuesday. It's basically staying centered in the central United States, moving a little bit more towards the south, but not exactly an east to west mover, or west to east mover, I should say. So what that means is all of these showers, all of these thunderstorms that are beginning to initiate don't really make it into North Mississippi. So while there is a chance with us being in the warm sector to get a few of these afternoon isolated showers, that's it. Isolated and just showers. We're not really getting those rumbles of thunder. We're not getting those strong storms. All of that remains out there towards our west into Oklahoma and Texas, as well as up there towards Kansas. And once that system kind of phases on out, we start to get a redevelopment, well, that's where we'll continue to keep those chances well off towards our west. That being said, we do have limited potential for some showers during our Tuesday afternoon, and that's going to be centered along the Alabama state line and up there towards northwest Mississippi. But you see the numbers. 0.05 of an inch. Yeah, not much to exactly write home about. So unfortunately, we're not getting that rainfall we need, but we'll take any drop that we can get. I'm not going to be picky. 79 degrees Water Valley, Bruce, Houston, 75 Boonville, Red Bay, and Iuka, 80 degrees Macon, Columbus, Starkville, even down there towards Kosciuszko and Belzona. So 80 degrees, well above our average. That should be closer to the low 60s. So as Matt was saying, this is very unseasonable, but no complaints here. After the end of January, I was just ready to get toward the warm season, and I know that goes for a lot of folks as well. If you're traveling down to Hattiesburg, going to be a bit warmer down there. The Southern Miss Golden Eagles taking on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and it should be a great in-state rivalry. We can call it a rivalry. It's a top 10 matchup nonetheless, and that's at 6 p.m. Those temperatures cooling off to the mid-60s, and even then, I would not say that a light jacket's necessarily needed. You can take it just in case, especially if you are cold-natured. But honestly, we're going to see those warm temperatures continue and mild nights continue as well. Oxford getting a look out there as Memphis Tigers come into town to take on the Rebels. First pitch, 73 degrees, 69 by the fourth, and 66 towards that final out, still with those partly cloudy skies lingering in the forecast. Our Tuesday night staying dry once again despite those southerly winds in the forecast. But here you're getting a look at that next system that's starting to move a little bit more towards the east. Now, main part of it does stay up there towards the north as this kind of follows that jet stream off there towards the north, keeping those elevated rain chances up there towards Illinois and Indiana. But once we get towards our Wednesday morning, you see some of this thunderstorm development developing alongside that low pressure center. Never fully reaches us in North Mississippi. So that's why we just see a few more of those isolated showers and not really seeing much more than that here in the northern half of the Magnolia State. 62 degrees South Haven and Tunica, 60 Oxford and Water Valley. We're 57 Macon, Aliceville, and Vernon, and 63 showing up Belzona, Greenwood, Cleveland, and Greenville. As we keep that forecast moving, of course, it is going to be a mild day with those warm temperatures lingering in the forecast. But fortunately, aside from, yes, a few light showers, that's really all we're going to be getting for our Wednesday. As we look up there towards the north, this is where we have elevated storm chances along the Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and Missouri states. But down here in the Magnolia State, still just going to be some of that isolated development, being that we are in this warm and moist environment. We just don't exactly have a lifting mechanism to allow thunderstorm activity to take place. That's why we're not concerned about any strong weather for our Wednesday forecast, despite there being a few rain chances in that afternoon time frame as well. That system lifts up there towards the north, leaving us with just a few of those isolated showers. But the further that goes towards the north, well, the weaker it gets, and unfortunately, it keeps the rain chances further away. Fortunately, it doesn't bring us severe weather. So there is some good in this forecast that we can take, but we do still need that rainfall. So we'll take some showers. Just don't give us the severe weather, right? I think we'd all agree on that. High temperatures on your Wednesday, 79 degrees Oxford and Holly Springs, 77 Red Bay, 78 Hamilton, Alabama, or 84 degrees Columbus, Mississippi. And that record, 82 degrees set in 1976. Well, hey, 50 years later, that's a good time to break a record, right? Well, we're close to it. I can say that. Whether it's broken, that remains up to Mother Nature, but we're close enough to it that it's definitely going to be at risk of being broken for our afternoon high temperatures. As we continue that trend over the next 7 days, you can see those warm temperatures into Thursday, into Friday, even into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. As we get our elevated rain chances, we're only dropping to the mid-70s. So how it felt today, basically going to be that or better over the next 7 days. But those rain chances really start to pick up as we get towards Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So that weekend forecast, if you're heading to any of the baseball games or even down there towards Jackson for some of our state championships that are happening on Saturday, not exactly looking the best for travel weather, but I think if you are traveling to Jackson, at least it's an indoor game, right? Baseball games, that's a little bit different, but I do think we will still have some dry opportunities to enjoy those baseball games or any of those weekend plans we may have. Those chances just gradually building as the week goes on, but our increased storm chances is going to be closer to Saturday, Sunday, really into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And that's what we're going to be looking at in more detail here in just a moment. Actually, here coming up in the next 60 seconds is the latest look at these rain chances, the latest look at the warm air, and how that translates to thunderstorm activity in North Mississippi. Also using the exclusive Mississippi Live exclusive Storm Finder to track out this week's rain chances and what that translates to us here in North Mississippi. All of that coming up in the next 60 seconds.
I'm your retirement fear, but don't be scared. You're still in pre-retirement.
Does that mean I have more time to plan?
Precisely. This is pretirement.org.
This isn't scary. I'm doing it.
Hi, my name is Rosie. Regional Rehab Center helps kids like me by offering speech therapy, occupational therapy, and dyslexia therapy. Your support helps so many of us get what we need to grow and succeed. Please help the Rehab Center.
You wonder how they're going to experience the real world in real safety, where all kids are welcome and everyone has a path forward to new skills, advancement, leadership, something they will carry with them the rest of their lives.
Severe weather. That's what we're heading into, the season of severe weather as our seasons shift from winter to spring. And we're already getting some of that here in the United States with that level 1 risk for our Tuesday night into the early hours of our Wednesday for folks in Wichita, Oklahoma City, and even close to the Wichita Falls area there in Texas. But you might notice, well away from us here in North Mississippi. Well, that frontal system does start to shift a little bit more towards the east as the days go on. But that level 2 threat, primarily encompassing Dallas and even close to the Fayetteville, Arkansas area. So still ways away from us. And if we look at how close it is to North Mississippi, I will say it is not far. I'm actually going to have to zoom it in here real quick and do some analysis. It's not overly far, but do we expect it to shift this many miles to the east? No, not with how things are setting up right now. I mean, we're still 70 miles away, and while that does have a chance of getting at least a marginal risk into North Mississippi, I'm not overly sold on that actually happening. So I do say that most of our rain chances for Wednesday remaining well below that sub-severe mark, and of course, we're grateful for that. We need the rainfall, but again, no severe weather. That's what we wish for here in North Mississippi. As we look closer to Thursday, that level 2 threat back towards the Wichita Falls area, close to the Lubbock area as well. That's where we expect that next system to begin to develop, and that's going to begin to move its way east through Oklahoma City, Wichita, and Kansas City, and then, yes, closer to the Arkansas area. But what this tells me is that I'm not overly sold on there being severe weather for Sunday or Monday as this frontal system pushes more into North Mississippi. There is still some confidence that needs to climb, but since they only kept it out there towards West Arkansas, I'm hopeful that that's where they keep it heading into our late weekend and even into early next week. But of course, that is, 9-10 days out? Well, a ways away. So not exactly saying that for certain right now, but we're at least hopeful that that's where things will continue to be. So as I stop this real quick, because it is going to be showing basically the extended outlook in a very quick way, I want to go through detail by detail as we use our exclusive Mississippi Live Storm Finder. So as we keep this forecast moving into the overnight hours, you can see that thunderstorm activity primarily up there towards St. Louis, close to the Springfield, Illinois area, well away from us here in North Mississippi. And even during the afternoon hours of our Tuesday, you can see how that activity just continues to build and build and build around that same general area. That's because it has a forcing mechanism. It has a lifting mechanism attached to it with that warm front not too far away. But it's well away from us. Well, I don't know what that phrase is. Well of a ways away. I'm never saying that again. I'm so sorry that was even what I was trying to say. far away from us here in North Mississippi. But as we get further into the forecast, let me go ahead and shift this over a little bit more towards Oklahoma. You can see that increased storm top, some of those lightning strikes as well. That's where we expect those lightning strikes. And once they climb into more of those yellows and oranges, that's those increased confidence levels. These are going to be mature storms and potentially strong storms, being that there is a higher lightning output. Storm chances are primarily seen with those purples that are showing up. And while it is faint, we can see that, over there towards the Illinois area, that purple, that's what we look for whenever we're talking about some of that thunderstorm activity. So let's go ahead and take it back on the broad perspective once again and track this out throughout our Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So basically, you have your system centered across Missouri and Iowa, shifting towards the east and keeping those storm chances around for Indiana and Illinois. But look at the lightning output on these storms towards Wichita and Oklahoma City. That's going to be an area where I would focus my efforts for some of those strong storms, because having that high of a lightning output definitely shows that confidence is high that some of these thunderstorms do have the potential to be on the stronger side. We'll continue that same trend into the early hours of our Wednesday before more of that development happens late into our Wednesday afternoon, really right along that Dallas area, working its way into western Arkansas. If you guys do remember, that's that level 2 threat right there for these thunderstorms that are beginning to develop. So Storm Finder lining up with what they're seeing at the Storm Prediction Center with the potential of some of those strong storms. If we look at this for North Mississippi, though, and I'm going to zoom it in a little bit more to give you a better look. I mean, these are still west of Jonesboro, west of Little Rock. That's a ways away. So while we do get some of these purples moving in, this is a very limited capacity of some of that storm potential, and I do still have it a ways away from us here in the Magnolia State. As we get further into the overnight hours and into Thursday morning, it's not exactly enough instability for these thunderstorms to mature and build. So by the time they get into the Mississippi area, not exactly anything of note with what we're seeing. Let's zoom it back out one more time, though, and you can see that that thunderstorm activity does continue right around that same area that has been seeing it for, at this point, several days now. That will continue to Friday, and even for folks there towards Wichita and Tulsa, seeing that threat remain in that same general region. So here's where we look at our triple threat. And if we zoom things out, we can get a good visual on what's exactly taking place. And I'm not going to keep it on certain points. I'm just going to basically go through the entire event, because you can see where these stripes are taking place and the hail reports. So if we go all the way through Friday, all the way into the end of our Friday, let's first start with North Mississippi. There's rain chances, but there's not a single one of our triple threats that we're seeing in the Magnolia State, meaning that I'm not concerned at all for severe weather, at least through our Friday time frame. And what our triple threat does is it shows rotation, it shows wind damage, and it shows large hail. And again, none of that showing up. You can see the large hail in Arkansas, some of those stripes in Arkansas where some rotating storms could take place. None of that reaching North Mississippi. So that's a lot of affirmation that we're going to be okay through all of this. As we look more towards the Texas area, this is one that stands out to me, because look at these brighter stripes that are happening close to the Lubbock area and closer to the Wichita Falls area as well. This is where we're having all three of those triple threats, whether it's the wind in that yellow, some of those blue indicating hail, or some of those brighter stripes indicating some rotating storms. It's not impossible that they get some tornadoes out there in Texas, but also some of that large hail, as Matt was talking about the end of last week. You know, he used to work in Lubbock, so he knows what these forecasts are like. And so that's why that area is a little bit more prime for it at this point, especially compared to what we're getting in North Mississippi. But I don't want to completely gloss over our potential, because as we zoom things out, we're going to use our American model real quick. This is our GFS model, and that basically shows us not high resolution data, but at least some general movement of those systems as we get further into the end of the week and really into the weekend. So while those elevated severe weather chances are going to be out towards the west for Wednesday and Thursday, as we get more into our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you can see how those systems do begin to move a little bit closer to the North Mississippi area. And there's your cold front Saturday afternoon moving through Arkansas, and a few of those showers getting towards DeSoto, Tate, and Tunica County there on the northwest side of our viewing area. By the time we get into the overnight hours, that front continues to dip, and that's where folks traveling to Jackson, folks traveling let's see, they're both home games this weekend, right? So I guess traveling to Starkville or traveling to Oxford might have to be dodging a few showers, because our low resolution data at least showing us that there is some potential for thunderstorm activity by the time we get towards our Saturday night. Sunday morning, still limited capacity, but scattered showers are expected. And as we get further into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, watch what basically takes place. We get some of those showers and storms out there in the central part of the United States, but this is what I'm paying attention to. And this is our latest data, at least showing up on our GFS run. There's your system. Well, it's not indicated basically right here. There's your low pressure center, and we do have this cold front extending off of it. And as that continues to shift east, that were to line up at the right time of day, then we could be looking at some strong storm potential. But guys, this is not Wednesday this week. This is Wednesday of the following week. So this is going to change big time. What I wanted to do by showing you this is show you all of the chances that are possible, but really bring you relief for the fact that we're not going to be dealing with severe weather Monday through Friday. Despite what those rain chances are on your Mississippi Live weather app, it's not indicative of severe weather. Only thing that we could possibly get is a few rumbles of thunder. That's really where I'd take the extent of these rain chances. Now, we have seen things change, but this has been pretty much in agreement since we got going with Saturday and Sunday. And our meteorologist, Caleb Edelblut, was describing that through the weekend, and we're keeping that forecast moving because that's where confidence stands here with Mississippi Live weather. So as we go through this week, we'll keep you guys updated if anything does shift, but that should bring you guys a little bit of relief for any of those weekly plans we have going on this week. Now, once we get towards the weekend, once we get towards next week, that's where the forecast needs to be ironed out a little bit more before our confidence rises for either nothing to happen or something to happen. And of course, we're keeping eyes on that every step of the way here in the Room to Room Weather Center. If you've not done so already, make sure to download that Mississippi Live weather app today. And we appreciate all of you guys who have done so. It just means the world to us that we get to partner with all of North Mississippi. And we do hope you guys stay safe because that is the goal here at Mississippi Live Weather. And of course, our broadcast going to be at 10 o'clock tonight. That's our next one. But we do have live broadcasts in the morning at 6:37 and 7:30. So if you ever just wake up early and want to know what the forecast is like, which should be every morning, make sure to tune in with meteorologist Maggie McCauley for the very latest on that. But nonetheless, we will be live again at 10 o'clock for what to expect here in Mississippi. I do want to let you guys know, for our sports fans out there, I do have the game pulled up. Ingomar is up 10 on Richton, and that is going to be with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Okolona taking the win earlier on today, and that is our first North Mississippi team being represented in the Big House, and they will play, I think, on Friday or Thursday? Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, and that is where, I think it actually is Friday. I think. O-Town, let me know. But either way, we're excited about that and happy for all of Okolona as the Chieftains hoping to bring home a state title, and we'll be cheering them on along the way, and all of our North Half teams as well. So appreciate you guys representing us, and Ingomar about to do the same if they can keep this momentum going. 8 minutes left, just got to close it out. So if you're keeping up with any of those high school athletics, that's where we stand. But we'll, of course, keep you guys updated on who wins, who advances, and our Ethan Foster going to let you know who those picks are as the week goes on. So lots to enjoy here at Mississippi Live Weather, a little bit of dabbling in sports, but of course the forecast and high school sports, all of that here on Mississippi Live Weather.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.